Okay, so this is the part 5 of the Quick Start series, and the thing I'm going to show you today is how to get a tenant set up very quickly. So here I am logged in as a cluster manager, and I'm going to show you it's just a few steps to get this set up. I've created these custom icons for my tenants just to make things look a little different. I'm going to go ahead and add a tenant. And then you're going to put in your tenant's first name. And we'll give them a few users, and the default is 100 gig. If I want to give them more storage, I could set that here or set it to 0 for unlimited. I'm going to go ahead and put in a password here. We'll hit continue, and we don't need that. Alright, so here you could tweak the administrative control. You can also give it a custom domain. I'm just going to leave it as a tenant under my domain, the fileshare.acmedrive.com. And most of these I'll leave to the default. I do want to allow them to increase their user plan if they need to, because as an MSP, that would be more money for me because it would increase the number of licenses that tenant was using. And since I want their data to be secure, I'm going to go ahead and set show data at rest encryption configuration page. And then I just hit continue. And now I can create a subfolder within my cluster default tenant storage space, or I could set up a custom folder just for them. It's entirely up to you. You could set a path for that on your server, but I'm going to go ahead and leave this to automatically assign. We'll hit continue. And that's the summary. And I've got show DARE page, data at rest encryption. The first time this admin logs in, they'll get that page. So we'll hit create. And now I'm looking at my new tenant. It's ready to go. I might want to add another user. Let's just do a native user. We'll call this Jane. And we'll leave it to 0, which is unlimited. Continue. Create a password. Now if you don't create a password, you can let the system do that. It can email them, and they can set up their own password. So that's automated. It's really great. But I don't want to send them an email, so I'm going to do it manually. And you can get them to change the password when they log in, or keep the one you gave them. You can send them that welcome message, which is necessary if they're setting up their own password. Continue. And that's ready to go. That team, any members of this tenant, will need to have folders that they could share content in so they can collaborate. So you just easily hit this plus and then give them maybe a project. Let's see, accounts folder. We'll enable versioning. That's always helpful. And we'll hit create. And we'll give them read and write and hit commit. Okay, so now we have the user that's a native user. We have the administrator. And when each of these users log in, they get a little different layout. And here's the accounts folder. It's ready to go. You can see that Jane Doe is a collaborator. Of course, the admin is always a collaborator, so we don't have to specify that. Alright, so let's just quickly log in and see what Jane Doe gets. And we can see that Jane has her documents and pictures photo, which are personal photos, and they have the accounts folder, which has nothing in it at this point. But she could start dropping things in there, and then when Joe checks out his folders, he can get access to those files, and they can collaborate and work together as a team. Okay, so this is the first time that John Doe logs in. He'll only see this once. You can get to it manually by using this URL with your domain at the beginning. So I can enable data at rest encryption, and then I can create a password for that encryption. I would make it more complicated than that. Okay, we're ready to go. And then I'm going to let John Doe create his own password here. Alright, so John Doe's logged in. He's got access to his own personal documents and pictures folder and the accounts folder, the same one that Jane has access to, so they can collaborate. And since he is a tenant manager, he can click this gear icon and he can manage the dashboard for this tenant. Okay, so he can go in and he can add guest users and modify things and create reports, do tenant branding, so you can customize the tenant. So we'll get into that at another time. Just wanted you to have a brief overview of what it's like to set up a tenant quickly in your cluster, and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you.